I'm Elizabeth Kelley, Managing Director for the International Commission on the Biological Effects of Electromagnetic Fields. I've been working in the field of non-ionizing radiation health and safety for almost 3 decades. My professional background is in public health and public policy. What first got me interested in engaging on this issue? Well, in 1996, Congress enacted landmark legislation to launch the wireless digital age. Section 704 of the Federal Telecommunications Act, including a health preemption that prohibited local zoning boards from taking health into account when considering antenna permit requests, so long as the proposed permit was compliant with the FCC's radio frequency radiation human exposure guidelines. This provision has had a chilling effect on open public inquiry that has gone beyond the permit hearing room. The traditional role played by public health agencies to monitor and investigate potential health risks is disrupted by laws such as these. In fact, many standard-setting organizations and international and national scientific and health agencies are now stating there is no credible evidence that shows electromagnetic fields are harmful. The burden of proof has been shifted from those who claim there is no credible evidence of harm to those who claim that scientific evidence of harm is probable and requires greater assessment, particularly at this time. Here's the problem. Wireless technologies are proliferating rapidly, while independent scientists are raising red flags by reporting biological and adverse health effects that are occurring at levels far below the FCC's exposure limits in their professional publications. These scientists claim that the current radio frequency radiation exposure guidelines set by the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, ICNIRP, and the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, FCC, and by many nations do not offer adequate protection for people and completely ignore the rest of nature. The evidence provided by these scientists is being ignored or dismissed by the decision makers and the regulators. Urgently needed are health protective exposure limits based on scientific evidence. We initiated the International EMF Scientist Appeal to the United Nations in 2015. This appeal summarizes the state of EMF science that demonstrates biological and harmful health effects to people and to the natural world. We recommend that children and pregnant women be protected, that exposure guidelines be strengthened, that medical education and training on electromagnetic fields are incorporated into curriculums, that public information and health advisories be provided, that manufacturers develop safer standards for wireless and electrical devices and infrastructures. And finally, we call for sustained government research programs that are free from industry influence. The appeal is now signed by over 250 independent scientists in 43 nations. It is recognized worldwide and is often quoted as a credible and authoritative consensus statement. ICBE-EMF builds upon the International EMF Scientist Appeal. Our primary mission is to make recommendations based on the best peer-reviewed scientific research publications, which include and go beyond establishing numerical exposure guidelines. We have published 2 papers in professional journals to date. One that challenges the health assumptions made by the ICNIRP and the FCC when determining the exposure limits. The other challenges cell phone manufacturers to apply low-cost engineering fixes to reduce cell phone radiation exposure. ICBE-EMF is composed of a multi-disciplinary consortium of members representing a wide variety of scientific disciplines, medical and engineering specialties, and public health and public policy expertise. Biographical information and lists of EMF publications and presentations of our members who serve as commissioners and special experts may be found at ICBE-EMF.org. We operate independently of political or economic influences. We seek to strictly adhere to the highest scientific, methodological, and ethical principles. Our objectives are to issue EMF exposure guidelines, to publish EMF papers that advance scientific knowledge, to review and critique scientific research publications pertaining to electromagnetic fields, to recommend precautionary measures and solutions that protect people and nature, to promote discussions within the international scientific community, to educate and inform decision makers, regulators, manufacturers, major industries, including the telecommunications and electrical power industries, and last but not least, inform the public. We intend to maintain a sustained public presence to shine lights of reason and wisdom on this complex societal issue. As the Executive Director of the Electromagnetic Safety Alliance, a nonprofit organization based in Arizona, USA, I manage the EMF Sinus Appeal and the ICBE-EMF. We will keep you informed about our activities, and we welcome your comments through the ICBE-EMF.org website.